what point? And so, okay, here is how I'll frame this question. I grew up so angry at Bollywood for selling me, peddling me ideas. Yeah, so have you seen Gangs of Wasseypur?
Yes.
You know the famous line, "Jab tak cinema rahega, log yahan pe." It's that cinema teaches you how to desire. That, has been my frustration since forever. What to desire and then how to desire. And when I talk to a lot of my friends, when I talk to women my age, when I talk to men my age, and I understand, say, for instance, their concept of romance, it is so Bollywood ridden, I would automatically guess that their cultural unconscious is Bollywood. Is that possible? Do you think kuch kuch hota hai can be part of my generation's cultural unconscious?
Very much so. Yeah.
And in light of that, is there not, and I'm not passing a normative judgment on kuch kuch hota hai at this moment, but I'm generally concerned if this cultural unconscious is so important that it's driving the interface between the universal and the individual in me. Should that not remain nourished for all of us? Should we not then be switching off our Netflix and then probably picking up one of these books to read?
No, I mean, you are confronting is a bad word.
Right.
You are encountering your cultural unconscious. Now, the thing is, then, of course, you have the choice of rejecting parts of it. That is what the whole part of psychoanalysis would be, rejecting that. Okay, I have that in me, but this is not my choice. My choice is going to be that. Or the Western one, which you pick up, which is given to you when you look at it. This is a Western cultural one. Okay, I'll do it, accept that. This is what I'm going to do. Or, no, I reject that. But not to see the Western only as the normative one. As that is what all human beings are.
Right. I have seen the West minimizes, and I mean, it could be for more than one reason. Again, not a normative statement, but they minimize the differences between where I come from and where I am right now. I'm currently in New York at Columbia. As that of the difference between an individualistic culture and a collectivist culture. And I think that is only is a prima facie labeling difference. The real meat begins when we start looking into it. And so here is how I've come to realize something, and tell me if it makes sense to you. Because, we, I think, are an inherently role-playing culture. We are not pragmatic about our realities. We are extremely attached to our roles. So the example I use is Prakhar ke Papa. When he's speaking to Prakhar, he's no longer whatever person he is. He has to play that role, and that takes precedence over almost any other identity he has. And we participate in this grand theater where we exchange roles, we move from one to the other, all of that very, very quickly. And what that means is, if my friend calls me up in India right now, he's like, I'm having trouble, I need money. My first response is, yes, you can have it, but what do you need it for again? While here in America, it's like, what do you need it for? And then maybe at the end of the negotiation, I say yes. Right? Is that reflective of some cultural something that you might have studied? Am I making sense to you?
Well, no, you're making very sense. Yeah, but that is where you are doing it then. Then you can choose which one to.
Of course, right.
So, but if you don't have the choice at all, if it's in an automatic role play, and it has got good adaptive parts also, this role playing, because that's what makes Indians very successful, because they come and adapt to any culture where they are very, very fast. But there is always some niggling feeling of, I think, discomfort there of, is this a false self? Do I have also an authentic self, which is different from the role playing? And any kind of this therapeutic culture, whichever one is.
What is an authentic self?
Sorry?
How do I think of an authentic self? How do I conceptualize that?
When you feel that I am there in all my role playing, I'm doing it, but there is an I there, which is not only role playing. I'm doing this because, so I'm not identifying with the role.
Which is not like my environment is not forcing me to do this. There is an autonomy within me that's making me do this.
That is making, yeah.
But sir, here is what I understand also, is that almost all social interaction is a performance. If I keep going down the rabbit hole of what is authentically me, I discover that I hit a massive roadblock, which is everything that I am is borrowed. So what is this authentic self? Is this an illusion I'm creating for myself, or is this real?
well, my feeling would be that there is a real, that one looks for it, and I think where the power of the of love there of another person, that is very much strongly that here, or that hope is that here my authentic self is going to come, that there will be no role playing at all. And so is that an illusion? But at least that is I think, a big hope which makes romantic relationships very much so powerful. So it's not only just the sexual drive or the sexual attraction, but that I will have somebody where I can be, and he or she will be a mirror to do that, which is also in the therapy part, right? I think you go to therapy also of, is there an authentic self here which needs to, I want to know about.
That is super interesting. And sir, is this authentic self an evolving being? Because if I want to incorporate the idea of a diluted I in the spiritual sense, then my authentic self has to at some point, like, where will the universal love come from if the authentic self is not evolving? It has to then, right?
Of course.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
And
not,
this,
there's no fixity there. Yeah.
but then, and in this evolution, this evolution is going to be again environmentally driven. What I experience, how I do, whatever happens, right? So to that extent, it could be that my authentic self has a borrowed element from the environment, but at the end of the day, there is some part of me that is authentic in your belief.
That the authentic self will keep on somewhere feeling, this is not me. This is the color which I'm taking from the environment. Okay, I will do it because it is needed for that, but I'm only doing it so that you're making a choice again of doing it. So the environment in that sense, yes.
Right. And is there a problem of over authenticity too? Because if I'm defining a problem on one end of the scale, my instinct is to go on the other end of the scale and see what the trade-off is. So what is is there an over authentic self, somebody that's overly just itself and does not pay attention to the environment? Is that a thing that comes up? Possibly? Case by case?
That is the great mystics. Ramakrishna, for instance, or Ramana Maharishi, or the ones. So our admiration for the great mystics, I think, is also the feeling or the wish, maybe, that these are completely authentic self people.
Right. And they inevitably, would you say that this mystic inevitably embodies the spiritual, and therefore this is how the chain connects for you, that in your over authentic, self, maybe you have to go down that road? Maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
How is, and I mean, feel free to not comment because I understand there is a predicament, but the last 5 or 6 years, there has been an upward trajectory to, let's say, overt patriotism. Right? To overtly feeling, because I remember back when I was growing up and I was more 15 than 24, or even before that, the concept of India in my socioeconomic strata would not inspire, but would incite a negative emotion. That has changed. Now it is my India, we'll show China this, that. Is there something that you've thought of, that you've worked on, that explains this phenomena? Is there some light that you'd be able to shed on? Would you be able to speculate on this? Is there a cultural unconscious part that's becoming conscious?
I think when one starts becoming uprooted from one's cultural moorings, then you need to find some other moorings there, and I think that's happening. So the nationalism is not a traditionalist. So a traditionalist wouldn't be a nationalist at all, because he or she is more in that very much, who doesn't need the nation. So, so to become part of that, you always, it's still the cultural unconscious. It means only that I still need to feel that I'm part of a bigger community. That is
That is the
that
driving force.
that is the driving force. And since my communities are the ones which used to be there, I'm losing them or have lost them. They don't mean that much to me, etc. So it is a search for which community is going to give me that feeling of I belong to another community. And I think that so much of the modernization will lead to that.